Hello everybody, and today I have a doozy for you. Today we're making a fully automatic mob farm. Now this is crazy efficient, pumps out tons of loot, and is definitely geared towards more of the end game. If you have better materials, you have bamboo, better gear, you're gonna need a lot of redstone for this one as well. If you are looking for an early game mob farm, I will link that in the description, and that's probably your best bet. But this one, if you're looking for something super efficient and you have the materials, this one is for you. You can use this in your Minecraft survival and or creative world, but it is going to be a long video because I want to make sure that you understand how it works and how to make it. So let's get right into the materials you need to make this project. So here are the things you will need. You are going to need a lot. It is going to be a bunch of stacks of scaffolding. Depending on how many layers you can make one layer. You can make up to 30 layers. I'm making about 8, so that's what you need. You're going to need about a half stack of trapdoors, any trapdoors you like, a bunch of water buckets, one water bucket per layer you decide to make, and then you're going to need to get one observer for every layer you make and one dispenser for every single layer you make. Again, I'm making 8 to 12, so I put 12 in for each observer and 12 for each dispenser, so I have enough. You're going to need about 6 to 8 stacks of slabs, about a stack of torches, 13 redstone repeaters, exactly 13 redstone repeaters, 1 redstone comparator, 4 redstone dust, 1 lever, 4 powered rails, 4 redstone torches, a little more than a stack of rails, 5 hopper minecarts, 1 piston, 2 chests, and 4 hoppers. Like I said, the materials vary. If you want to do 30 layers, you're going to need to pretty much double what I have here on the screen. This is enough to make about 8 to 12. If you're looking to do 8 to 12, this is what you're going to need. If you're looking to do 1 to 3, which you can totally do, you can pretty much divide this in half. You don't even need all this stuff. But if you want to get more efficient, you're going to need more layers. So, in order to transport this stuff, I recommend getting either making mine carts where you're going to make it, or wherever. I'm going to use a donkey with a chest. I'm going to slap the chest on the donkey and then dump all my materials inside so we can travel, because you will need to make this farm in a desert. It doesn't have to be, but the reason being is that if you make it in a desert, you'll get way less rotten flesh and more better spawns like gunpowder or string, stuff that is more value to you if you want to trade. Whereas rotten flesh you can trade to a villager, it's just not as useful. So we're making it in a desert to cut down on the rotten flesh. So after I gathered all my materials, I grabbed on my trusty donkey and I headed towards the nearest desert. Once I got there, I picked a good spot because you will need a nice flat area, and I parked my donkey real quick so I wouldn't lose any of my materials, and then got to leveling out a nice flat area of the desert to build this farm in. So obviously I just took my shovel and cleared out the very top layer of sand, sort of nice flat area to work with. Something that looks like this, definitely make sure you have enough space because you will need a nice flat area to put the minecart collection system underneath. But when you have a flat area, first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to grab those torches I said and light up the whole area. You don't want any mobs spawning down here. It's going to slow down the efficiency rating, and you also don't want mobs shooting you if you decide to go AFK near it or anything like that. So all I'm doing is just making sure I'm really lighting up the area with all these torches and making sure there's no possibility of mobs spawning near me. Next, find a good center point. Place a single block, a trapdoor next to it. Then place 1 scaffold above the block and 27 scaffolds above the second block. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. And you can go a little bit higher, but I recommend 27. That's your best bet. So again, 1 on the block, 27 above the trapdoor. Now, make your way up the scaffolding, climb it all the way to the top, and when you get to the top, what you're going to do is you're going to grab your observer, look towards the scaffold, jump so the eye is facing up towards you, and then place 4 trapdoors around the observer like so. Once you have this, grab your dispenser, doing the same method, jump and place it above the observer so the eye of the dispenser is facing out towards the sky. Next, grab a bucket of water, put it in that dispenser, Then grab your scaffolding and place one on each four sides of the dispenser, but you're going to make sure it goes 7 blocks out. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's one on each side of the dispenser, and then we're going to carry this block. If you just right click on it, it'll carry it out, and then you're going to go to the max length it will let you go, which is 7. After you place 8, it will fall off automatically. That's how you know you've hit the maximum width for it. So just go to the maximum width on all four sides, like so. It's going to be 7. If you don't want to waste scaffold planks, just count out 7 and boom, 7. So now that you should have 7 spanning out on all four sides, and then what you're going to do is you're going to fill in this gap in a diamond pattern. So as you can see, I got one away from the end, and then just stagger them diagonally so you have it going in a pattern one less than the one before it. As you can see here, it's a diagonal pattern like so, and then carry this through on all four sides, and then just fill in the space. So if you don't understand this, I recommend pausing, taking a minute, making sure that you fill in all the blocks, and it's one block diagonally from the 7 to the next corner. So once you have this first layer done, you're pretty much just going to repeat this pattern for all the rest of the layers. But before you do the rest of the layers, I'll show you how to start the next layer. So all I'm doing here is I'm just finishing up this last layer, making sure we don't leave any gaps, and it should have a diamond formation like so. Perfect. Now when you're ready to start the second layer, what you're going to do is you're going to head towards the middle of the platform, right above the dispenser facing upwards with the water bucket in it. And you're going to grab another scaffold, place one scaffold, and then you're going to jump on top of that and place an observer, same as we did before. So an observer facing up, the eye facing towards the sky. Then you're going to get your trapdoors again, and place them around the observer, and then also you can put the dispenser above the observer before you place the trapdoors. But if you do the trapdoors first, it's going to be a lot easier. Like I did here, I accidentally put the dispenser first, so now I have to kind of try and get it from the side here. So boom, there you go. So again, 4 around either side of the observer with a dispenser facing the same direction towards the sky with a water bucket in it. Make sure there's a water bucket in each one. So now this is going to be 2 layers that we've completed right here. And again, make sure you're going out 7 away from the center on all 4 sides, and then completing the diamond pattern in between. So we're doing 8 for this one. If you want to do just 1, if you want to do just 2, I recommend skipping towards the end of the video where I show you how to make the roof and then the collection system. But I'm just going to make 3 or 4 here for you guys to see, and then finish up the 8 on my own time. So again, scaffold, observer facing up, and then the spruce trapdoors or any trapdoors on all 4 sides like so. And then grab your handy dandy dispenser, and again facing up just like the observer. And now we're on layer 3. Make sure the water bucket goes inside. I almost forgot that time. And then again 7 blocks out, all 4 sides, filling in the gaps in between diagonally. And then this is all you have to do for each layer. So it's just a matter of placing the observers and dispensers with the water bucket inside, and then the scaffolding for the mobs to spawn on. So again, you can make this 30 platforms tall. 30 is going to be the most efficient. So again, if you want to do this 30 times, you have the materials to do so, please, by all means, you will get crazy amounts of loot. But again, here's the next platform. We're going for a 4th on this one. So it's very simple. If you can't follow this pattern, I can't help you. But if you have gotten it down, it should look something like this when you go down. And you should see all the layers stacked up top, above that. And when you're finally ready to put a roof on this, depending on how many layers you want, you're going to take a scaffold, put it above the dispenser, and you're going to make 3 scaffolds high. As you can see here, you want to be very careful when breaking if you make any mistakes, because I accidentally punched a hole and almost knocked myself off the platform. So you just want to make it 3 high. As you can see, I keep struggling because I can't seem to get it. But once you do get it, you should have 3 scaffold blocks high. I recommend hitting the shift button in the middle, and that'll definitely help get you up there. But so I ended up placing a slab and then trying again because I was failing miserably at trying to get this. And then even with the slab, I was still struggling so much. So if you're better with scaffolds than me, then good for you. If not, good luck with this. You just need to get 3 tall above that dispenser there, and once you do, you can start placing the roof. But so I have the 2. Eventually, I do get the 3, like right here. Boom! Finally got the 3. All right, and then I got rid of the slab. Obviously, you don't want that block in the way. So once you have the 3, this is how high you're going to make your roof. So you're going to climb up those 3 scaffolds and then place your slabs. So I place 1 on either side. So I actually climb down to make it a little easier for me and place 1 on all 4 sides of it on the top part, not the bottom part. So you're going to do a tall slab, not a bottom slab, and then build it 10 to 15 blocks away. I'm doing 10 because if you decide to add more layers, it'll be easier to remove this than to get rid of 15 out. So if you want to add more layers, I recommend doing 10. If you don't want to add more layers, I recommend doing 15 or even 20 to make sure you get a really nice shaded area. So all you're going to do is build 10 to 15 out from either side, and 10, and boom. So now we have 3 of the 4 sides connected. And what this is going to do, it's going to create a shade above the layers below it. So which is why if you do 10, it's not going to be as efficient. But if you do 15 or 20, it's going to be far more efficient because it's going to be much darker. But once you have this, again, similar to how we did with the scaffolding, you're going to make a diamond-shaped pattern above it and just connect all 4 corners like so. As you can see, I'm doing here, I'm doing a zigzag formation, 1 block back from where the end is. And if you do it correctly, you should end up in the same spot that you did from where you left. So boom, perfect diagonal. And now you're going to go to the next corner and then fill in the next block after that. So all we're doing here is we're connecting all the corners, making that diamond shape. And then once we have that, you can get ready and you can fill in all the area in between. So we filled in all the corners, and now you're going to take your slabs and fill in all that area in between, like so. And this is what creates the shade, like I said. Very important that you don't leave any gaps because it will make it less efficient. If you want to add more layers, make it smaller. If you don't, make it bigger. That's the rule of thumb. And once you have everything covered, you can put a slab in the middle to come any light coming through the scaffolding, and then grab your handy dandy torches and start placing them up there, because you don't want mobs spawning up there instead of in your farm. You would rather have them spawn in your farm where they can get pushed out and killed. So once you have enough torches up there, all you have to do is make your way back down towards the end of the farm. I'm just placing a couple extra because it really helps avoid mobs spawning up there, and you don't want that. So we did that, and then we went down from the bottom, and you should have something that looks like this. You should have all your layers, and on the very top, it looks like a very little hat almost. And to test this, you're going to flick that trapdoor at the very base, and it should trigger the water for all the dispenser because it sends a signal all the way up through the scaffolding and should dispense the water. If you see water falling down, it means you missed this spot, and if you didn't, it should look something like this if you head back up there. As you can see, it should perfectly line up with the edges of all the scaffolding. So if you do see water, you have a problem, you have to go fix it. But now we're going to make the mechanism. So grab your repeaters, build 3 out from one side of the block, and then 3 back in. And then another 3 the opposite direction, like so. So you should have what looks like we're going to make a circle redstone clock. So now that you have 3 facing away, 3 coming back in, and then another 3 heading towards the block again. So you just have something like this, 13 redstone repeaters in total. Next, once you have that, grab your redstone comparator, plop it on this end, and then activate the redstone signal. So now that should have power, and it should be able to send a signal all the way through. Before you start the clock, make sure you set these on all 4 tick, the longest time length possible, because this is a clock and we don't want to have it spewing water every 2 seconds. We need to make sure it gives time for the mobs to spawn in and for them to get pushed towards the edge. So if you put these all on the last tick and then place a redstone in that corner between the comparator and then 2 on the end here between the 2 repeaters, you should be all good. So when you're ready, plop a lever down, flick the lever. When the lever is on, it will continuously rotate the clock signal. When the lever is off, it will stop it after it comes back around. So as you see, we power the lever on. It sends a signal all the way around, and then it stops the signal. And when the signal reaches the end again, it will power up the signal to go around one more time. Every time this goes around, it should activate the trapdoor, which causes the signal to go up the scaffolding, fire the dispensers, and start collecting all the water. So again, we just want to make sure that it stops when we switch off. And once you have that, now all we got to do is make our collection system. So find the center and get 9 blocks away from the center pillar. And then you're going to place your powered rail and a redstone torch on the inside of it to power it. Make sure if you look up, it should roughly line up for where the mobs are falling off the edge there. Again, we're going to do this on all 4 sides, making sure it lines up 9 blocks away from the center, and when you look up, it should roughly be in the same spot. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and on the ninth block, we are placing a powered rail, and we're powering it with that redstone torch. For this one's a little tricky. Make sure you include the block and the repeater in your 9 away, and then place the redstone torch. And finally, we have one more side to do where we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And on the ninth block, again, one more powered rail and one more redstone torch. Now, just like we did up top with connecting the corners, diagonally connect all of these to each other, and this is going to be our basic collection system. There is 2 ways of doing this, but if you want to do it this way, it's perfectly fine. There is a more efficient way that I will show you right after this, but this is probably the quickest way, just to connect up all 4 corners with the powered rails with regular rails before we start making our collection system. So as you can see here, I'm just connecting all 4 sides, making a diamond-like shape with the minecarts. Not the minecarts, pardon me, the rails. But this is why you need a stack, because you need about a stack and 4. So if you do want to save on rails, you can do that. But if you do want to do it in a more efficient way, I recommend doing 3 and 3 using right angles. And this will help get more of a collection radius. As you can see here, I did 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, 3 down. Still keeping that diamond-like formation, but just making it more angled like a staircase. So once you have that, we can build our collection system. Pick any one of the corners or any one of the sides that you did this on, and you're going to dig 1 block down and then 5 wide. So you're going to dig 5 wide, 2 blocks down, starting on one of the corners. Once you have this, place a chest at one end, then take 4 hoppers and place them in the other spots facing into the chest. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So you should have one single chest and 4 hoppers facing into the chest. Now that we did that, we're going to place a temporary block next to it, and then above the very right hopper, place a mine cart. Make sure you don't connect it to this like I did. But what you're going to do is you're going to place a mine cart, and you're going to break it so the mine cart falls into and above the hopper. I recommend doing the one on the very right and the very left before doing the middle, because it'll be a lot easier than squeezing the middle one in at the same time. Um, but so as you can see, all I'm doing here is the same thing, placing a minecart above a rail and then breaking the block underneath so it falls down above the hopper. And then obviously doing the middle one as well. So taking a rail, minecart with hopper, and then breaking the block underneath. So once you have all 3 like this, it should be pretty simple. You can get rid of our temporary blocks that we placed, and then you're going to grab your piston. But first, before you do anything, make sure you have at least 5 blocks, a piston, and a way to power the piston. This is going to be able to push the minecarts. You're going to dig 1 block behind the chest. I'm going to steal his torch real quick so I can power the piston. Place the piston facing towards the minecart with a block in front of it, and then power the piston. It should push its way towards the minecart. Keep doing this until you can't see the minecarts anymore. As you can see, the piston forces the block and the minecart with the hopper to merge, and when it does so, it still allows the minecart with hopper to pick up items that go above those blocks. But since it's a block, it also allows a minecart to travel above it. So what we're doing is we're making an easy collection system without having to use a bunch of hoppers. We're using a bunch of minecarts and forcing them into blocks instead. After that, replace your blocks. As you can see, they're underneath the way the minecart is going to travel above the rails. And then once you're ready, grab your last 2 minecarts and you're going to place them on the track and then send them on their way. So I recommend placing one in one corner or one in the opposite corner and then waiting for the other one to go around. So I started this one here, waited for it to get about halfway, and then started the other one. So they should be a good distance between each other, and this will be the best way to collect the loot as it goes around, because now you don't have them back to back, and every time it goes over the system, it'll get collected. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to chuck some arrows on the track away from the collection system. minecart picks it up, and then if we go to the chest, our hoppers picked it up. So that's awesome. That means our collection system is fully functional. That is awesome. And that is all you have to do. So, as you can see, when we power it up, all the mobs just start falling right down. The mobs will spawn, the water will push them off with time with the clock, and then all of our loot will get picked up by the minecarts and then brought into our collection chest right there. So, as you can see, as time goes on, it will start depositing all the loot. And we didn't get a lot that time, we just got a bunch of gunpowder. But that's okay. Sometimes it does get left behind. As you can see here, we have some gunpowder floating on the very outside of the track. That's okay. It depends on where the mobs fall, but if you are really worried about it, you can set up another track, whatever you want. But this thing looks ridiculously cool from a distance away as I'm walking up to it. It is super cool. And then after just a few minutes of me talking, it already has that much loot. So it really took maybe 2 minutes for us to get that. So, and this is just 8 levels. Can you imagine what it's like at 30? You'll be getting thousands and thousands of drops per second. So I would recommend playing this on a more powerful PC if you don't want to lag out your game. But that is it. Again, I know it's very fast and it's very confusing. If you stick with it, I promise you it works. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I'm always here for you guys and to support you. And if you do want a simpler mob farm, I do have one that also uses as an XP farm as well. I will link that in the description. If not, this is the way to go. You can even do this on a Skyblock server and get a bunch of loot per second if it allows you to do this method. And if you enjoy this video, please let me know. I'm always here for you guys if you need it. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed.